Broncos country, hope you guys are doing well. I thought I would go ahead and talk about this topic because we've seen wonderful videos from Kodiak Broncos podcast, from Marquee Sports, talking about Troy Franklin, talking about A.T. Perry. A.T. Perry running with the ones in practice. Why didn't he get on the field? Hopefully, Sean Payton can answer that at the combine. Somebody's got to ask him that. But what if, guys, we have promising, developing wide receivers on the roster to where we punt on wide receiver this offseason to an extent? Like, I'm talking about, we're not using a day 1 or 2 pick. We're not using any priority free agent dollars towards that. How could we fill out the rest of the roster? That's what we're going to get into today. So smash that like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But I've put together kind of a general 53 here, and I thought that this was interesting. So there's a lot to break down here. So we'll just start from the top and kind of work our way forward. So, anybody that has been kind of re-signed, whether they're a UFA or RFA, you can see that they're colored that way. So, again, we're bringing back somebody like Jordan Jackson. We're bringing back somebody like Alex Singleton on like a cheap restructure or like a pay cut, right? Bringing back Jaquan McMillan. But then, hey, we're able to use free agent dollars on a guy like Rico Dowdle coming in. Totally revamping the tight end position with Tyler Conklin, Taysom Hill coming in, right? And then on the defensive side, because we're not spending on a Chris Godwin, T. Higgins, something like that, we can bring in not Hufanga from the Niners to play safety alongside Brandon Jones, bringing in Nick Bolton from Kansas City, and then a Milton Williams from the Philadelphia Eagles to replace DJ Jones, which Marquee Sports put a video out on that and why it makes so much sense. I love it. And then we're able to cut guys like TJ Locke, Singleton for this exercise still stays on, but we let Cody Barton walk. DTY is out of here along with Damari Mathis. And again, I was able to do these things on Spot Track without having to sign either Zach Allen or Cortland Sutton to an extension. If you do that and spread out some of their $20 million cap hit or so, $19 million, you're able to probably sign another big time free agent. But this is what could happen. And then when you look at the draft here, I mean, going after getting a guy like Derek Harmon, the linebacker Schlesinger out of UCLA, who could be a starter very, very quickly. A Mason Taylor in the 3rd round at tight end. Brashard Smith at running back. A guy who played wide receiver at Miami for a couple of years, then transitioning to running back at SMU this past year, just like Blake Watson. Maybe they compete for a roster spot. Then we bring in an interior lineman. Jake Majors from Texas can play guard, I think, but was a center at Texas. Ty Robinson, defensive lineman from Nebraska, and then filling it out with a guy like Hunter Wohler, a guy that plays a little bit of safety slot, was recruited by our secondary coach, Jim Leonard, and coached by him at University of Wisconsin. And somebody that I think could transition into linebacker, a really good coverage linebacker, 6'2", I think like 215 pounds right now. So he could definitely add to his frame as well, which I think is very, very interesting. But as you can see, this would be like a 53 that I have here. Of course, other guys will be on this roster competing for a roster spot. But I think this should give you a general idea of what could happen if Sean Payton is truly satisfied right now with where A.T. Perry's at, with Troy Franklin. Remember, we picked up A.T. Perry off of waivers. We picked up his current rookie contract. So that goes to show that, hey, we weren't just wanting to sign him for a minimum just to see what happens. I mean, we were willing to take on, granted, it was a day 3 contract, but we were able to take on his day 3 contract. He's on the roster. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. But as you can see, guys, what I really love from this exercise is if we choose to prioritize other positions such as linebacker, safety, running back, tight end, over wide receiver, heck, even interior defensive line, we're able to build a really good foundation for this team. And yeah, I mean, I had another exercise here where things look a little bit different. Kept Cody Barton around, let Singleton, PJ Locke, DTY, Mathis go. But you can see from this draft here, we were able to grab Kenneth Grant, Elijah Arroyo, Devin Neal, JJ Pegas, Miles Frazier on the offensive line. Still drafting a guy like Ricky White there in the 6th round, and still went with Hunter Wohler. So I really do like this idea. I think that I would be really, really happy with the team, especially in the trenches, if we were to prioritize this way. Now, I know, I mean, that's saying, hey, we're not going to prioritize an elite playmaker from the outside. And what I would argue right now is I don't know if this draft has a ton of elite playmakers on the outside at the wide receiver position. Uh, to me, I don't know if any of these guys are going to turn into somebody like Justin Jefferson or heck, even an elite number 2, like a guy that should be a number 1 on a normal team, such as T. Higgins. Of course, he's got Jamar Chase there. I just don't think that this is his draft, and we'll see what happens in free agency. But I really love the idea in this draft of getting 2 defensive linemen, of getting a tight end or 2. We could draft Ferguson there in the 4th round if he's still there, but getting a running back in the draft with a top 4 round pick and bringing in a guy like Rico Dowdle, I think would be fantastic. But I think this would be a lot of fun to see where our team would go if we chose this direction. So, I mean, y'all let me know, like, would you be okay with the Broncos punting on wide receiver this year? Is that what you think Sean Payton's going to do? Like, subscribe, let me know. Have a wonderful Friday, y'all. Go Broncos.